I don't know. I
Dude,
this is
we're
so
recording. We're just
distracting.
gonna start.
Oh, we're just gonna do it. All right.
We're just gonna start, bro. I mean, I can always edit this out, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So, all right. This is your Edge Spotlight interview. So, Ryan, introduce yourself. Tell us more about you.
Um. Hi, my name is Ryan, and I don't know. I don't know what to say, man. You just put me on the spot.
Yeah, 'cause
Um.
it's your Spotlight interview. It's part
Oh
of it.
man, good.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
no, okay. So here it is. Okay. So this
Edit
is
edit
Ryan.
that edit that out. Start over. Edit that
No,
out.
we're leaving it in. We're leaving
Oh
it
no.
in. We're just gonna no. Nah. So you are Ryan Shelley, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Um,
Now I feel like I'm being interrogated.
kind of what an interview is, not gonna lie. So, where are you from?
Flint, Michigan.
Flint, Michigan. Wow. Okay.
Flint-ish. I don't live in the city. I live in the outskirts of it.
So you
Believe it
still,
or not, there are good, like decent parts of Flint. That's where we live.
so you still can't drink the water?
No, we were never affected by the water.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
We were never affected by that.
How did you get into the industry? Like, how did you get into the industry?
Completely by accident. So
Yeah.
when I was in high school, my full intentions, like I did CAD, like all throughout high school, and I actually wanted to be an engineer. Graduated high school. I did like one semester of college that my grandpa paid for. I couldn't afford it because I was poor. My parents couldn't afford it because they were poor. And I ended up doing that one semester, and then I needed to work, so I started working factory. Like I started working shops. I started out in a couple plastics factories, and then I ended up working at a shop. It's a company on the west side of Michigan called Shape Corp. They're like a global company now, but back when I started working for them, they were based out of Grand Haven, Michigan, and I started working like the robots there. Built like bumpers and whatnot, and eventually like I started going from like a parts loader to like just like repairing the welds. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even remember how I even made that transition. Like one day, I just had a MIG gun in my hand and I was just fixing the holes that robots were making. Like I legitimately can't even remember how that even happened. Um,
They're just
and
like,
yeah, it just
hey, here you go. Anybody can MIG weld. There you go. Fix it.
basically like yeah, they're like, hey, do this thing, and I was like, I don't know how to do this thing. Like, well, you're gonna do it anyways. And I was like, okay. So I started doing that, and that's literally how it. Like, I had never touched a MIG gun in my life, and I did a couple practice beads like on like scrap and stuff like that. The thing that everybody does when they first start welding, and then I started repairing bumpers, and then it just. I worked there for a few years, got laid off in 2009, I believe it was, and did more repair work, and then I started working at the shop that I'm working at now. I've been there for 13 years. It's a prototype facility in Lapeer, Michigan, and from starting at the shop that I'm working at now, I started doing more hand welding, like more like fabrication type work, and I learned how to TIG weld at this shop. I learned everything that I know about TIG welding. I learned working at this shop, and it wasn't even that the shop tech necessarily taught me. I started getting more interested in getting better at it. So then I started going to YouTube, and that's where I found weldingtipsandtricks.com. Just all these different YouTube. Like I found out that like you don't even need to go to school when you have YouTube for free. Like there's just such
Yeah.
a wealth of knowledge on there, dude. And almost everything I learned about aluminum, I learned from weldingtipsandtricks.com. I learned a lot from Dusty Pacific. Oh man, his YouTube channel is blanking on me. He's one of ours.
Specific
Help me
art
out.
TIG welding.
Thank you. I knew it was Pacific something, and then my brain just. But I learned a lot from his channel, and then just Hood Time, and it just kind of branched out from there.
Yeah, Dusty's awesome, man. It was so cool to meet him a couple years ago at FabTech.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll make it this year.
Yeah, yeah, he was a cool dude. I wasn't even a part of the Edge Army at that time
Oh
when I
yeah,
met
that's
him.
right.
I was just
That
a
Atlanta
fanboy.
that Atlanta FabTech just kind of brought on a lot of new team members.
It really did, yeah. Yep.
So so you started working and they just kind of handed it to you. You started working, and then from there, you went into after you got laid off, you went into the shop that you're at now. Subsequently, like after falling through
No,
the cracks, basically.
there was a couple shops in between that, but it was all production, just repair
Ah,
stuff.
okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So I just
Just
kind of skipped over that because it was basically the same stuff that I was doing at that previous shop. And it wasn't until I started working at the shop that I'm at now that I actually got my hands on a TIG welder and I actually started doing like actual fabricate. I remember the first time I ever fabricated something. It wasn't even like a job. It was like I had to build a stand for like a robot pendant. We were super slow at the time, and my boss was like, "Hey, I want you to build this thing." And I was like, "But I don't know how to build this thing." And he's like, "Well, build this thing."
well, you're a welder. You should know everything.
Yeah, but like at that time, I had never fabricated anything. I had only repaired stuff. So
Ah,
I was only fixing at that time. I was only fixing welds on things that were already built. So I had to
yeah,
like
I got
actually
you.
like I had to cut steel. I had to like measure stuff out and square it up and I'd never done that before. So that was actually really intimidating.
How
It
crooked?
sounds like
How,
I look back on it now and I'm like, oh dude, that is so easy. Like, but at that time, that was a really intimidating thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
How crooked was your first stand or table you made?
oh, I'm sure that thing was not even close, man. Like it was. I eyed everything out. You know what I mean? Like,
We've
and at
all
that
been
time,
there, man.
I had never even used a bandsaw. Like that was the first time I'd used a bandsaw. Like
Really?
yeah, dude, it was that one thing that taught me a lot.
What led you into like starting your own little side business, side hustle?
COVID,
COVID?
COVID.
Were you like completely shut out from work at that point, or?
Yeah, yeah. We were my shop shut down for a couple months, I believe.
Oh yeah,
Yep, and I had already bought a TIG welder. I had bought a an AHP TIG welder, and I
yeah.
had
Those are good
bought that with
machines.
yeah, I had bought that with the intentions of just I didn't really buy that with the intentions of starting a business with it. I just kind of wanted to screw around in the garage, and really what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to weld at home and get better at welding aluminum. I wanted more arc time, and that's why I bought it. I had gotten a bonus, like because I'm lucky enough to work at a company that we get Christmas bonuses,
Oh,
and I
nice.
took my bonus and I bought that TIG welder, and then COVID hit, and so I started doing just like little side jobs here and there. Like I had advertised that I had a TIG welder, so friends started coming to me for like repair work. Like I had a buddy come to me that needed
Yeah.
repairs on a trailer and stuff like that, and it just kind of grew from there. It went from just like small repair stuff, and I had no clue how to price anything. I still don't know. Sometimes I still struggle with that. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Same here.
I still feel like I underbid stuff all the time. Like I'm like I come up with a price and I'm like, oh, that seems really high. I'm gonna knock that down so I actually get paid for it. But no, it started off with just small stuff like that, and now I have a CNC plasma table. Like it just kind of that was also I guess kind of another thing that happened on accident. I started getting enough repair work, and then I started advertising stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Like
Yeah.
fabricating. I was building grill grates for a little bit there.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, like just advertising on Facebook Marketplace actually like brought in quite a bit of work for me for that TIG welder. And then it just kind of then I bought a MIG welder, and then I bought and it just kind of started growing slowly, and it's still growing slowly. Like it's I've had this thing going for what's it, almost 4 years now, because I started it in 2020, and I'm still in my garage. But I'm actually like okay with that, man. Like like a couple years ago, I'm like, man, I want to get like I want my own shop. I want, I want this, I want that, I want. But then I looked at it like recently, I'm like, if this stays as basically a hobby I get paid for, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I
You
can see
know?
that. I mean,
Yeah.
in a sense, and at the same time, it kind of gives you somewhat of a creative outlet because you can kind of. That's what I've learned with my side work is that I can kind of see projects that other people have done and be like, oh, I want to do that. Like
Mhm.
the
Yep.
panel railing we recently done, like that sort of thing. Like I'd always wanted to do it, and so
Mm-hmm.
I was able to finally find the right customer that like, hey, this is what I have an idea for your railing for. Bear with me a little bit, and kind of go from there. And it took me probably 6 7 months to actually get the customer to buy the gig, to buy the job. I don't know if price was the deal, but finally they had come up with a design that they liked and kind of, went from there. And then the end result spoke for itself. But man, there was some huge growing pains in that process. Like
Yep.
starting off with like 14 gauge material, and that was too wavy, and ended up having to go with 11 gauge for the panel. So,
Yep.
like all that, you know what I mean? Like just the growing pains and
Absolutely.
you don't know until you know.
Yep.
And then the saying that always comes to mind, there's more knowledge in not knowing what to do than knowing exactly what to do, because I can tell you 1,000 ways to mess something up to where that one way that finally worked.
Yep.
So
Absolutely,
what
man.
what is
I've been actually wanting to do a panel gate. I always see everybody doing these, gates with
yeah
CNC cut panels, and I want one. I want to build one so bad. So I'm kind of in that same boat where I would really like to do that.
it a lot of it, honestly, like I get approached about it a lot, and people hate timelines.
Yeah.
Like they hate having to wait. Like everybody's the Walmart mentality. Well, Walmart's got it. I'm gonna go buy it there. Well, no, like it's
Yeah.
not. Like I'm making this from hand.
Yeah.
From scratch. From nothing.
I don't just have a gate with your exact panel in it in the back of my
Yeah,
house. Like I have to
to
build
the
this thing.
exact specifications that you're
Yeah.
looking for. Like, oh, here, let me go to my garage and grab that real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
have the material? You wait a minute.
No.
I thought you said you work weekends. You can't. This is Friday. You can't have it for me Sunday. Like, no.
Yeah.
It was just
That's funny.
people expect you to, that's the over expectations of some things. But you've probably been blessed enough to once you find a good customer base, like that word of mouth referral has been
Hmm.
huge for me. I mean,
Oh
like I
yeah.
quit advertising on Facebook because Facebook was, oh, my cousin can do it for this. Why can't you do it for that? It's like, get your cousin to do it.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. I
whole,
mean, I'll still use Facebook Marketplace every now and then. Like I started doing these address signs, and as I put that up on Facebook Marketplace, and I've done probably 4 or 5 of those address signs for that one listing. So there's some stuff that it's amazing how something so simple
yeah,
can sell really well.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, those address signs are clean. And what powder
Yep.
coat finish are you using on it?
It's called Blackout. It's from Columbia Powders, and it's like a black mini texture, and it's
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
one of
yeah.
my favorite. It's probably one of my
Yeah,
favorite
I
finishes.
know. Prismatic powders has something very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It gives it a little bit more depth than just the standard black,
Yes. Yep.
which is,
Yep.
it's cool that you can get that texture out of it too. So I saw the last one
Absolutely.
you did. It looks really cool.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Probably end up adding a picture in it, like right around here somewhere.
Yeah. Cool.
This is, what's your favorite project that you've worked on?
Oh man.
Just on your
Um.
side work, not a day job, just for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I really enjoy doing like some of the trophies that I build. I've actually got a run of trophies that I've been working on right now. It's like 17 trophies. It's like 6 of those hand trophies.
What are
Um,
they for?
So I've done these before, and I've shared them on my Instagram before. It's for a company called ACV, and this was actually a result of the trophy that I did from for that Navicon trophy like a couple years ago. And
Okay.
so I've been doing trophies for Navicon for the last 2 or 3 years, and as a result from that trophy, I've gotten three different customers that have been coming back for more trophies from that. And there's this company ACV. They're like an auto auction company,
Mhm.
and so they have this dealer trophy, and it's the trophy. If you look back on my timeline, it's the trophy that it's got like the push rods as like a spiral, and it's got the gears on it that say ACV on it. So I did 12 of those, and then the other six of the hand trophies, kind of like where I had the pistons in them, but this has like the ACV trophy in the hand instead. They're back on my timeline, so if anybody's watching this and you're curious what I'm talking about, just go back on my Instagram timeline. You'll find them. So
Nice.
it's six of the hand ones, and then 12 of the other ones. So I
Oh, okay.
really
Cool.
enjoy doing those. It's a really cool mix of using my CNC table and scrap art, like using the car parts and all that, and like
Yeah.
clean cut metal. I like doing those, and I'm also working on car show trophies right now. So a couple months ago, I did a couple trophies where like you had the piston rods kind of coming out like this, and it had a gear on it with a powder coated emblem on it. I'm kind of mixing that with the hand trophy, and I'm making a couple three car trophies right now. And the plates are going to be powder coated bronze, silver, and gold for first, second, and third place. So actually,
Nice.
when I get off this call, I'm going to start working on that.
Oh, that's cool, man.
I'm gonna continue working on that. I've already started them. I've already got everything cut. I've got some stuff welded on it. I've just got to build the hands and actually put it together. And I'm hoping to actually get those built today. And
How long?
maybe, huh?
I was gonna say, how long does it normally take for you to complete?
Maybe like an hour per hand because because I got the push rods that I bent for the back. Those are kind of like the veins, that kind of represents the veins that are in your hand or whatever. So they take roughly an hour, and I'm pretty particular on how things go. So if I weld something on there and I don't like it, I'll cut it off, I'll redo it, and so there's a lot of that when I build those two, and a lot of cleaning too. Like it's amazing to me how much I use like lifters. I use lifters for like the back of the hand, and no matter how much I clean those, there's always oil in them. So it's just
Yeah, yeah.
constant clean. It's constant cleaning, and even by the end of it, there's still oil oozing out of those things, man.
Have you tried
Like
have you tried the vinegar soak on them prior to welding them?
I've tried. What did I try? Yeah, I tried doing. I
Evapor
think
or whatever?
yeah, it was. I tried doing the evapor rust. I've tried doing. I may have tried soaking them in vinegar, and I clean them up, and then it's like the moment you put heat to them, there's like residual oil in there that just oozes out. So it takes a while to build them, but the results
Engine
are
parts,
cool.
man.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm probably breathing 9 different forms of cancer every time I build these things.
Eh, you know, you live next to Flint, Michigan, so there's worse things.
That's true.
Are y'all making the trip down to Orlando this year for FabTech?
Yep,
Sweet,
yep.
man.
Yeah, that's the plan. We're not flying. We're driving to save money. So
Ooh,
that's gonna suck. We drove down to Georgia. I mean, we drove to Georgia. We took a train to Chicago. Um, we're just trying to save what money that we can. Like we're kind of in savings mode right now. Um, like I mean, this has nothing to do with welding or anything like that. But I recently like paid my truck off, so right now I'm like completely debt free. Um, so
that's a
my
good
goal
feeling.
now, yeah, oh dude, absolutely. So now it's my goal is to build up savings and stuff like that. Um, so I'm trying to save money where we can. So yeah, we're
Yeah,
planning to
well, I
drive
mean,
down and
yeah, when you have kids, you got to do that sort of thing, man.
yep.
Because just when you think like, oh, everything's taken care of, emergency room visit, doctor's bills. Oh, so and so wants to play this sport now, and then
That's why That's why we decided, like, we were planning on doing a day trip to Universal while we were down there, but then we priced it out, and bro, it's gonna be like $900 for us to go for one day, and I was just like, man, I love Universal, but I don't want to pay that. I don't want to pay
900
that.
bucks, man. Eesh.
Because that's like express passes included. Because if you're
Oh,
going for a day, you kind of want express passes because some of these lines are 3 hours long. You know what I mean? Like, and so you end up spending half your day to ride one ride.
yeah, I think we're gonna do Universal when we're down there, but I gotta hook up. So I'm gonna
Oh, maybe you should hook me up because I really want to do it. Like, I don't want to not do it, but I also if we
want to
can
do it.
knock that if we can knock that price down significantly, I'd absolutely do it.
Yeah,
Just not for that price.
yeah. It's dude. It's eesh, that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we were thinking about trying to do go see the mouse while we're down there, but at the same time, we want to do like a snow trip for Christmas this year, just like
Yeah.
out of Texas. I mean, I know for y'all snow is normal, but for us, like it's like, wait, we can go somewhere where it's below 70 degrees for
Yeah.
Christmas Day? Awesome, you know.
Yeah.
So
I can never I will never I just cannot imagine being excited for snow ever.
it's excitement, but it wears off really quick. You know,
Yes.
the panic for snowpocalypse that was down here several years ago was one of those things where you didn't people didn't realize that it was freezing rain like ice for like 2 days before it actually snowed. That's what
Mm.
allowed the snow to actually stay for as long as it did. And
Oh.
so all of the ice, but then people are trying to drive, and you can't drive on ice no matter what you really, unless you're Ken Block, I guess. But it's just one of those things. It's like, all right, fine, give Texas hell for, oh, it's a little bit of snow, ha ha ha. Yeah, but it was ice for 2 days before,
Yeah, ice is really hard.
and
Even
then it
for
was
us
like,
Mich
yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
then it was like 80 degrees the day after all the snow, so it went away
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah, even for us Michiganders, ice is hard. I mean, you get people up here. It's amazing to me because you get people that they've lived in Michigan their whole lives, but the moment snowflakes hit the ground, there's people in ditches. They're in the median. Like everybody like just gets amnesia and they forget how to drive in the snow every single year.
I I don't know. Cold is nice, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like, too much cold, I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
So, there's a perfect climate somewhere, and, who knows?
and it's not in Michigan or Texas.
No, I don't even know if it's in between anymore. Well, in between, you have tornadoes everywhere. So it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
there's always something
Yep.
somewhere.
Yep.
Where do you, what is eventually your goal with this? Do you eventually hope the side work picks up and overtakes the day job and then that's your full time gig? Or, I mean, I know that's pretty much everyone's dream.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
It used to be like the side hustle going full time was always my goal. But then I go back and forth on it because you got the day job that's more that's it's more stable. You know what I mean? It's a stable paycheck. Um I don't know, man. Like that's such a hard question for me. So okay, let me put it this way. Earlier this year, I took like a 3 month break. Like I put out on Instagram that I took a 3 month break, or that I was taking a break, and I was like, I don't know how long this break is going to take, but I'm just gonna, and it ended up turning into 3 months. That was because I hit a point where I literally, I was at work and I texted my wife. I was like, I think I'm done. I'm gonna sell everything and I'm done. And I think because I was burning the candle at both ends for the better part of 2 years. I was like, working overtime at my day job. And then I was working, until 9, 10 o'clock at night with the side business. And I did that during the week, on the weekends, and I think I just hit a point where I just got burnt out, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna sell everything and be done. But then I decided to go ahead and instead of like that was just an irrational decision just to take a break from it. And then I just sort of eased back into it. Well, during that time, it made me realize like, wait, do I actually want to go full time? Is that something that I can handle? Because it's like, you have the stress of the day job and the side business, but then when you go full time or the full time business, that brings on a whole different level of stress. Because
Yeah.
now it's like, okay, you have to have consistent cash flow. You have to have, consistent work coming in. Then you got the whole health insurance thing. Then it's, well, if it blows up, now I got to think about bringing in employees, which then brings on an entire different level of stress because now you're responsible for other people's lives.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then it's like, so now where I'm at right now, and I'm going to get religious for a second here, but right now I am just trying to find where God wants to take me.
Right.
And if that's full time with the side business, then that's full time with the side business. But if it's not, then it's not. And that's just kind of where I'm at, like right now. And I know it's just it's hard for me to explain. You know what I mean?
No, no, I totally understand it. Like, I do full time job and side hustle, and some days I'm just like, side hustle is just gonna have to stop just because I can't,
Yes.
like it just gets way too much to where the safety of the day job does take a huge benefit off your shoulders to where you're okay, well, I have insurance. I know from 6 to 5 or 7 to 5 or 7 to whatever, like I have this and that's
Yeah.
good. But then it's like, okay, well, that internal struggle comes to where, well, wait a minute. If I take a break, you take that one day off and you're like, oh crap, I took that day off. If I could have finished this, that little extra bit of money can help with this. Or,
Yeah.
oh, wait, I took that day off. Man, I should have answered that phone call. Or, man, I should have replied quicker on that text. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you feel like maybe that day off killed your side hustle. And you're like, oh, I don't want it
Yeah.
to die completely, but
Yeah.
I would just like a little bit of some time off.
Hang on a second. Are you hearing wind right now coming through?
No.
I'm getting like, because I've got like a gentle. You can cut this out, but like I've got a gentle breeze coming through, and I can hear just a bunch of wind. I just want to make sure it's not going to mess with. I don't know
Nah,
if it's coming
you're
from
fine.
my
I don't
end or if
hear.
it's coming from here. Okay, okay, then I was gonna say you can cut that out. I'm just like, I was just trying to make sure that like that wasn't screwing up the interview.
You just trying to blow me away, man.
Yeah.
Nah, it's
Yeah.
fine.
No, but I hit a point where I was like, okay, so now like I'm starting to ease back into it. And then I was talking to my wife about it, and I was like, man, I really don't want to give it up because I really like making stuff. I really like that I have tools in my garage that like if I want to make something from my house, I can do that. If somebody comes to me wanting something as simple as an address sign, I can do that. And I'm in a very fortunate position where it's like I don't need the side business because my day job pays the bills. The money that comes from the side business, to be perfectly honest with you, just goes into more tools for the side business. I really honestly like the moment I get paid, I buy something else. Like I'm looking this year, like the trophy job that I just told you about, that's gonna pay for another for a new plasma table because I want to get a bigger plasma table so that I can make bigger signs. I
Oh,
want to
okay.
I
What do
want
you?
to upgrade from the 4x3. So I've got the same table that David has. I've got the Langmuir Crossfire Pro. It's the
Oh,
4 foot by 3. It's the 4 foot by 3 foot table. I'm looking at getting their XR, which is a 4 foot by 8 foot table.
yeah. Okay, so you're looking to upgrade. I got you.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So when I get paid for that, and then the other stuff that I got going on, my plan is to invest that right into a bigger plasma table, so that hopefully I can start because I've had to turn down bigger signs because while I can technically index cut like what Dave does with your guys' stuff,
Yeah.
his table is positioned in a way where he can feed steel through, whereas my table is up against a wall. And
Yeah.
the way that my garage is set up, it's hard for me to be able to pull that out and feed steel through. You see what I'm saying? Like it's just the way that everything is set up in my garage, so it's hard for me to index cut stuff. So I've had to turn down 8 foot signs. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I can
Whereas
see
if I get the if I upgrade to this table and somebody comes with a bigger sign, I could do it now, no problem.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Yeah, index cutting was a trial to figure out. We ended up finding a jig uh, file online somewhere, and
yeah,
then you basically cut the jig, weld it together, and then it bolts to the side of the machine, so where you have like that constant flat space to run up against.
yeah,
And then he put the the laser sight on the cutting head, so
yeah.
that way we knew exactly like, all right, this is where it goes. And then you just kind of fumble your way through it here and there.
I need to get me one of those, man. I need to get one of those laser things. That man, that's because I literally like when I'm squaring up the torch to the piece or whatever, I literally just eye it out. Whereas if you have
Yeah,
that laser on there, you just it's right there and it's good to go. That's a
yeah,
really good investment.
yeah. I'm not sure how much he paid or whatever. I don't think it was that much, honestly.
Dude,
Knowing
you can
him,
get them for like
he's cheap, bro. Trust me. Like,
you can get them for $20. They're not
yeah,
expensive.
I think he got the whole mount thing. I think he spent less than $40 for the whole thing because it's like a
Yeah,
magnetic mount deal.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's moving to Vegas, so or he already moved to Vegas. I should go
Oh,
steal
okay.
the table. I should go steal the table out of his garage right now. I know it's still in his old house. Just like,
That's funny.
yeah, dude. That's another thing that impressed me with you from the past. I know you did. You did the 75 part.
Mhm.
How I remember hearing about it on Becker's podcast and all,
Mhm.
but just the willpower it took to do that, man. Congrats.
Yeah, I have not had much of that willpower since then.
I just
I've
used it all up. That was all I had.
I put on a little bit of weight since then and whatnot. But yeah, I'm actually I've been considering doing another round of it to be honest with you to kind of get back on track.
That's cool. Yeah,
But
I'm trying to get in the groove to do something, but the heat here is killing me. I've
yeah.
been working on this live edge table for a minute, and just like trying to get the epoxy right on there is, dude. I've had more failures than success with that.
That's got to
I
be
mean,
hard with the heat.
it's coming along. Don't get me wrong, but by the time being in the shop, for 8 hours a day in the heat, and then you come home. All right, let me sit in the AC for a little bit. Okay, back out to the garage. Went out there until like 8 or 9, sweating. Just, dude, I'm done. Like I don't want to wake up at 4 in the morning to go to the gym before I go. Sweat
Yeah.
more before I sweat more before I sweat
Yeah.
more.
It was a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. It was a challenge. I had to get up at 4 o'clock every single morning to knock out the first workout, which was the outdoor workout, and the outdoor workout was just a ruck. The second round of 75 hard I did in the dead of winter, so there were days where I was literally ice skating for half my ruck. There was a couple times where I, slipped and fell, with a 35-pound ruck on, fell right on my rear. It was difficult to push through, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm just too stupid to quit. so
Well, I mean, in a way, what is it? It takes 3 weeks for something to become a habit or something like that. 21 days. So
yeah,
if you get used to the habit of pain or habitual
yeah,
pain, so to speak, then at some point it's just like, well, I'm used to it. Might as well, like I started it, let me finish it. You know,
it's actually kind of funny because like after 21 days of 75 hard, that's when you want to quit the most
yeah,
because it's 21 days straight of working out without a day off, twice a day. 21 days of, you're sore, you're mentally tapped out, but then that's kind of the point of it. It pushes you past that because, like a lot of people, you hit that 21 days and yeah, like it becomes a habit, but then it only takes like a week to undo that habit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And really,
exactly.
honestly, it's easy. Even after the 75 days, it's so easy. Like there's people that they'll go through all of that for the 75 days, and then the next day to celebrate, they go have a piece of cake. You know what I mean? So it's like it's so easy to undo that progress, and I'm no different. Like it like a
Yeah.
week later, I'm like, because I think I ended the last round of 75 hard. What was I think it was like Easter, and then like the next day I was already eating sweets. You know what I mean? Because it was Easter, and the Easter Bunny
Yeah,
brought me a
all the Easter
basket.
candy everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. So it was like it took me literally a day to like forget about everything that I had already done, and I'm already eating Reese's eggs.
Yeah, you're like, my progress was this, but it's Easter.
Yeah, yeah,
He's risen,
exactly.
so has my
So
willpower.
yeah,
Yeah, dang man. Yeah, I don't know. The struggle is real. Trying to find the balance between we're not getting younger for damn sure,
no,
and you're noticing like, wait a minute, why do I have more gray hair on my face?
oh yeah,
trying to trying to deal with that mental struggle, and then the mental struggle of like,
yeah,
well, I need to work out, but I'm just tired, and then
yeah,
if I spend 5 more minutes, little one wants me to read this story, or you know play Barbies, or whatever it is, that extra time with the kids, even
yeah,
5 minutes, you're like, all right, well, I'm not going to work out tomorrow because I spent this 5 minutes doing that.
yeah.
This, you know that struggle between the family life balance, the work balance, and then you throw a side hustle in on top of that, it gets to be a lot.
That's for me, that's kind of the blessing of me having my side business and my garage. I've literally had times where I was in the middle of work. So my kids are 14, 12, and 10. And my youngest, who just turned 10, he's 10, but he's still kind of like, still like in that little kid stage where he's like, hey, dad, can you come play with me?
Yeah,
And I will literally drop what I'm doing in that moment. I'll go play with him. Hey, can you come wrestle with me? And I'll go wrestle with him because I've only got a couple more years of that.
yeah, exactly. Because you
You know
can't
what I
get that
mean?
time back.
No, you can't. And like my daughter, dude, this hit me recently. I'm only 4 years away from my daughter being an adult. Like that, like I was like, whoa, I had to like sit down and like really like think about that. And so the balance for me is easy. Family comes first. Well, God comes first. Family comes second. Everything else is after.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like even with this interview, I told you, we set this time up. I'm like, dude, I got to get my Bible time and my prayer time in first, then the
Yeah,
interview, and
that,
then yeah, and man, like I think of how quickly the last 14 years of my life went by. And then I think about like if that 14 years went by that fast, the next 4 years are gonna fly. They're gonna be gone in a blink of an eye. So I
yeah,
have to prioritize, and if that means that my side business is stagnant for a few years and doesn't move out of my garage, then so be it.
yeah.
That's just what it's gonna take.
And then if your youngest is 10, in the blink of an eye, the next 8 years are going to go by, and all three of your kids are adults.
And
And
then we're empty nesters at that point.
yeah, and then you're like, wait a minute, now I have all this free time. What am I going to do?
Exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly. What I need to do actually, my kids. I've had my kids out in the shop, helping out. What I need to do is actually get them out there with me. And like my daughter, actually, one of the projects. My daughter actually has a longer honey-do list than my wife does. She wants a desk. She wants me to build a metal desk for her room. She just recently like redid her room.
ah,
She's been practically begging me for this desk. She wants like a wood top and all this stuff. And I'm like, that would actually be like a really good bonding time. Get her out in the
yeah.
shop and let her weld up her own desk.
That, not only that, but if you teach her how to do some of the CNC design and the plasma design, for
Yeah.
the base of it and kind of go from there. I
Yep.
mean, if anything, she has a somewhat of a tangible skill to know that, okay, well, she can always provide for herself because, welding's always going to be there.
Yep.
So, or computer design or something, she might find something in there that she likes
Yep.
and it could possibly change a career path for her, or,
Yeah.
at least have a fallback to where,
Exactly.
that's
I'm
kind of,
I'm go ahead, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm really big on the fallback. I told all three of my kids, I'm like, because like my daughter, she's 14, she's almost 4, she'll be 14 in October. She's like, she wants to be a fashion designer, and I'm like, that's cool. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, but have a fallback,
Yeah.
learn a skill, and it doesn't have to be welding. It could be whatever. Just learn a skill that you can fall back on, because then if fashion design falls through and it doesn't work out, well, now you're not in your mid 20s in a crisis because you don't know what to do with your life. Like so
Yeah.
many people, so many people go to college for underwater basket weaving, and then when they can't do that, they don't know what to do with their lives.
Yeah. Or, yeah, that's, degrees are, I don't know. College wasn't for me. College wasn't for you, obviously.
Nope.
It's just, but at the same time now, I'm 43. I'm thinking like maybe I can do some online drafting classes just to kind of get back into,
Yeah.
design or CAD. I mean, I can play around the computer. I can make it work somewhat on drafting, but when it comes to 3D design and stuff, dude, I've done all the online stuff for Fusion that I can. The University of YouTube, but at the same time, when it comes to making something for myself, like I don't know,
Yeah.
like I don't get that spark of inspiration behind it from there.
Yeah, sometimes I struggle with that too. I mean, I had, dude, all through high school CAD experience. We used Autodesk Inventor back then,
Yeah,
and I actually have friends that still use that for their business. I'm like, that's so cool because Autodesk has, they have Fusion 360 now. I'm actually shocked that Inventor is even still a thing. So I have that CAD background, but then when it comes to the actual design of stuff, like sometimes I struggle with that too because I can be creative, but I don't have a designer's brain.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And a lot of times, what I'll do is I'll go to Google. Like if I'm trying to find a design for something, I'll just Google like a design for whatever that is, just for inspiration. And sometimes that sparks something that's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like you just kind of take that and expand on it and make it your own.
right. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
use it as an inspiration piece or a muse to
Yep.
you know build off of. Yeah, I do
Yep.
that a lot. Or see something, I'm like, well, this design might kind of work a little bit. Okay, well, structurally, no, it's not going to be structural. If I do this,
Right.
or add this to it, okay, well, then it's structurally sound. Kind of
Yep.
build off of that.
Yep.
So,
Yes,
but
sir.
where do you see yourself in 5 years, other than having an adult for a kid?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate that question.
I do too. But I wanted to make
I
it feel
hate
more.
that.
I knew you
I
did, and I
hate
wanted to
that
make it
question.
awkward. Buddy.
I hate that question because we were just not gifted with the ability to see into the future. For all I could be dead in 5 years for all I know, man. Like
Yeah,
I don't know. I truly don't know. I
that
could
that's the gift.
still,
That's the gift. That's the gift of the blessing of life.
yeah, man. Like I
No one knows.
could still be at my day job with this being a side hustle. I could just give this up altogether and still be at my day job. The day job could be gone and I'm full time with. I don't know, man.
I could win the lottery and be sitting on an island somewhere and not have to worry about a damn thing.
Yeah. Nah, I don't want to do that. I like working, man.
I do
I
too.
like it. Like it wears you out, but at the same time, if I wasn't doing what I do every day, I would probably go insane.
I feel like the gift of the abilities that we have with our jobs is that we actually have something physical and tangible that we can touch for what we build, as
Yep.
opposed to like IT people or computer people or insurance salesmen, stuff like that. That like there's nothing tangible that you see from what you do. You're just like, well, I just got a paycheck. I have no idea what I did, but something. And you're like,
Yep.
oh, well, that part right there, that's what I did. Those
Yep.
parts right there, that's what I did. Those trophies,
Yep.
yeah. you know.
Yes. I 100% agree, man. Like, I'm so glad, because again, like back in high school, man, I didn't want to do any manual labor. Like, I was just in that mindset when I was younger. I didn't, like, I wanted to just basically stare at a computer and get paid for it. But I'm so glad that I'm not doing that because, like, it's like you said, like, I get to work with my hands. And even on a really hot day, I come home and I have um, that accomplishment, that feeling of accomplishment that I did something today. I
Yeah,
built something. Something went from nothing and turned into something.
yeah. Even if it's like for me, the last 2 days haven't been welding; they've just been literally fabricating and cleaning and deburring parts to get ready to weld. And it's
Yeah.
like, all right, all these parts I've cut, and grinded, and chipped
Yep.
away, you know, done everything to and grinded. It's like,
Yep.
gee, man, the last 16 hours has been nothing for this, just for me to weld for 4 hours, and then I'm done.
Well, that's why I tell customers all the time because they're surprised. Like, I had that stainless job that I shared the other day on Instagram, and like the customer kind of hung out while I welded it, and I'm like, cleaning the parts. I'm having to fit everything up. I'm having to do this, do that, and then the welding is like this much time. And it's
Yeah,
like I always say that like welding is literally like 10% of what we do.
yeah, exactly. The other 90%.
90%, yeah, it's cleaning, it's cutting, it's fitting, it's this, it's that, it's cut. Oh crap, I tacked that wrong. I got to cut apart and do it again.
Yeah, or like, this fit up is garbage, but I
Yeah,
got to make it work, you know.
exactly.
Yeah, it is what it is there anything you want to say or plug or before we end this?
Um, not really,
You have
not
any
really.
advice for anybody?
Do I? Oh god, that's the other question I hate. Because I never feel qualified to give anybody advice. Um,
You should feel qualified. You're a father. You have 3 reasons to give advice.
I'm not qualified to be a father.
Nobody is, bro. That's the
I
secret.
know.
That's what they don't tell us.
Yeah.
Is that we're nobody even now, like looking back at stuff my dad did, I'm
Yeah.
like, Dad, why'd you do that? And he's just like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
He's just like, I was
You
winging it,
know,
man. That was the best I could think of.
yeah. I
Or
would
it was the 80s.
say, man, like the first thing that comes to mind is it's to be perfectly honest with you, like with my day job, is the amount of bitter people that I work with. And maybe not even directly like coworkers that I like, but I've met just in the industry, just so many bitter people. Like if you're young and you're coming into the industry, just don't get bitter. You don't have to hate what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because I've met so many people that just they hate what they do, but they do it for a paycheck. And
Yeah.
me personally, like I love welding. I love what I do, even on days that it's exhausting. And there's days where I wake up and I don't want to do it. But at the end of the day, like I actually enjoy what I do. Most of us do. I feel like the majority of who we interact with on Instagram, and most of us in the Edge Army and all of that, like we do what we do because we like doing it,
Right.
and we don't get bitter about it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to get bitter and don't give up. Like just keep at it. You're not gonna throw a hood on and lay beautiful dimes. It's gonna look like crap, and you just got to put in the work. A hood, a good. What's the phrase? A good hood time is a good time. There it is.
Yeah.
Like you may start off grinding parts. You may start off doing things you don't want to do. Don't go into it with an attitude of that's not my job. I want to do this. Well, you're not going to start off doing that. I'm sorry, but none of us ever did.
Yeah. That no, that's not my job is the worst
Yeah.
phrase. I wish those 3 words have never been
Yeah.
together.
Absolutely.
4 words. Sorry. See, this
Yeah.
is coming from college.
Math is hard. Math is hard.
Math is easy. People are hard.
Yeah.
Math is easy. I mean, I don't know. It's just, but you're absolutely right. Like there's some days where I just like, man, I just want to weld, but I know I have 4 days of fabrication before I can get to these 2 hours that it's going to take me to weld this together.
Exactly.
And then those
Exactly.
2 hours I'm going to blow through and be like,
But then, one more thing I want to add to that too, and I touched on this when I did my episode with Arc Junkies, is be teachable. Don't go into a job, even if you know how to weld. Don't go into a job assuming you know everything. I've been welding for I don't even know how long. It doesn't even matter, and I still learn stuff all the time.
yeah,
I still like I look at welds that I shared at Instagram 2 years ago. And compared to where my welds are now, I look at those welds 2 years ago and I'm like, man, that was garbage. But
yeah.
2 years ago, I shared them on Instagram because I thought they were good. Like,
Because at that point they were.
yeah, but if you always think you're up here, then there's nowhere for you to go.
Right. I mean,
But if you have the mentality that you're still down here and that you can still get up here, you know what I mean? Like you can still be teachable. There's always somewhere, you can always elevate yourself. You can always,
yeah.
learn more and get higher than where you're currently at.
Plus, I always liked the fact that technology is starting to creep into the welding industry a lot more.
Yeah.
And with the development of new machines, new torch technology, new arc technology, new deliverance methods and stuff like that, new filler metals and everything, like there's always something new coming down the pipeline that you're like,
Yeah.
wow, let me get into this a little bit more. Okay. So everything I thought I knew up to this point doesn't matter anymore. Now this new thing takes over. And
Exactly.
the way I look at it is I don't want to be those old heads I grew up with where there's only one way to do something, and only this way. That's the only way you do it. That's it.
Yeah.
Like I still want to learn how to walk the cup. Growing up,
Yeah.
touching the parent material was absolutely forbidden, and you're not allowed to do that. And now, like walking the cup is like this thing, and it's the coolest thing you see on Instagram or the internet anyway. And you're like, wow, that's crazy.
Dude, walking the cup breaks my brain. Every time I've tried to do it, I have failed.
I just honestly, like, I don't do that type of welding, so like
I don't
really
either. Yeah.
have a necessity for it. But at the same time, it's like, wait a minute.
I want to do it just so I can say that I can.
Yeah, it's like the weld art thing. What Dabs does to what Ian does. A lot of people do it, and I tried it enough to where like, okay, well, I have that trick in my bag of tricks if I ever run across the necessity for it. So that's cool. But at the same time, it's like it doesn't spark my interest where like, oh, I gotta do it. I want to do it. Like, for whatever reason, my attention span doesn't hold to it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I'll let you get to your trophy building. I really appreciate your time this morning. I know we tried to catch up a couple of times here and there. Definitely look forward to seeing you and Tamara coming to BabTech as well.
Yep.
So, yeah, definitely look forward to catching up with both of y'all then. And I'm sure everyone else does too.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, dude.
Yeah, man.
I'm actually looking forward to, because the Hard Rock party is at the Hard Rock Cafe. That's in City Walk. That's attached to Universal. Dude, City Walk is so cool.
Been there.
I love City Walk.
I went there the first year it opened. I have family that live there in Orlando, so like the first year it opened was the year I turned 21. So.
Oh.
Yeah, me, we waited for like my youngest cousin, because there's three of us that are like the group of cousins together. We waited for her to turn 21, and we all went to Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville.
Yeah, I've been there.
So, yeah, it was interesting. Like, it's crazy,
Yeah, the Toothsome's Chocolate Emporium that's right there on City Walk, to me is that's like top tier, dude. They got really good food. Their milkshakes are just next level. And it's a really cool environment, really cool atmosphere.
Cool, man. I have to check it out.
Yep.
All right, bud. Have a good day. Stay blessed. Appreciate your time.
You too, brother. All right, we'll see you, man. Yep.